Welcome to CATtheMinion YouTube channel. My name is Teresa, but you can call me Cat. This is Cat's Hit the Deck review. I think if I'm doing this right, it's number 23. I haven't done one for a while because I ran out of decks. I've got 3 decks now that I've had for a little bit. This one and the Starseed Oracle I've had for several months, but I haven't felt proficient enough in them to go over them yet. And I still feel like a sort of a noob with this deck. I don't feel like I know it like the back of my hand. But I've had a breakthrough recently where I was really flowing with the cards, and I just felt like it was time. This is a deck that it would behoove you to have the book handy, because there's a lot of information in there. And, you know, pulling things intuitively doesn't mean that you suck at intuition if you read the book. That's what it's there for. It's sort of a, you know, a dealer's choice kind of a thing. But I do recommend at least reading it enough to retain some of the information. So the Wild Unknown Archetypes is by Kim Krans. It matches the Wild Unknown Tarot and the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, and I'm excited because I have all 3, and my giant plan was to use all 3 of them together, and I don't think I've really done that. So it comes in this roughly square box. It's printed by Harper One, which I believe published her other decks. So we've got this watercolor feel on the edges. It's got a magnetic closure. This snack on the back. And I just hit the camera. So accept all, reject none here with the black inside. Oh, did I get the I got the ribbon stuck. So it's this really long ribbon because the book pops out, and then the box of cards pops out, and it's got this nested situation here with a square, and the inside wasn't really big enough for me to pull out the liner to stack other things in here, so I've just been keeping these in here all neat and whatever. So the ribbon is really long for all of that, and we've got a cylindrical box because the cards are round, so they got this gem print on them. Another little ribbon here. Inside and the top and the bottom, some collage stuff. So these cards differ from the other ones. The tarot and the animal spirits are rectangular. The animal spirits is like a white and silver on the back, and the tarot is black and white on the back. And both of them are drawn in sort of like a Sharpie style with watercolor coloring here and there throughout the cards, though none of them are like completely colored. And the archetypes are slightly different in that they use some of the same drawing styles, but also little photo collages. So you'll see that when I start going through the deck. So let me just pull this out of here. Let me see the bottom there. So I've got these all back in order, and I had them all neatly stacked, and then I stuck them back in here to do the opening of the thing. So we have the square book and just this introduction and the making of the deck and all that, tips about the deck, how to use it, the sort of suits that it has. So the way that this is set up for each card, there's a page, and it has a title and some like a tagline and then a paragraph and then like a little Cliff's Notes down here. And then there's stuff on the side here and then more stuff on the side over here. Just tips and information and so on. Little pictures that go with it. And it's arranged into sections. So this whole book is, even counting these not numbered pages, is like 226 pages. It's got this weird little font here. It's not quite Comic Sans. It's like a fake handwriting font, but that's true of the books for the other cards as well. So this is arranged. There's 78 cards, and I don't think it's supposed to be like a tarot deck because of 78 cards. I think that's just, you know, a coincidence. Because it's really an oracle deck. Where's the contents? Jesus Christ. Okay. Haven't been in here in a minute, so I'm like out of sorts. So this came out in 2019, so it's still pretty new. Okay, so there's 4 like suits basically. One is called the selves, which is like characters or people. One is called places, which is, you know, a location. And one is called tools, which is what it sounds like. And one is called the initiations, which is kind of like, it's sort of like the difference between a minor arcana and a major arcana, but it's more like concepts or spirituality or energies instead of other stuff. And for some reason, some of these initiations, I have a mind blank on what they mean because I'm not used to the words. Like Aletheia and Kairos and Agape. So usually I have to at least like look at the book to see what it's supposed to mean unless I'm just interpreting the image. So I'm not like expert in this deck yet because I've had it, you know, I've had a lot of my other decks that I've already reviewed for 2 years before I even started doing reviews, and these ones I've only had for like 6 or 8 months. Probably longer than I think I have. Where's the... Oh, okay. Sorry if anybody got sick there. So I'm going to start at the beginning. So we're starting with the characters, with the selves. These are like the aspects of human personality that we all can embody. Is there any... Ugh. Just trying to go back to the table of contents. A lot of these are straightforward and can be sort of associated with tarot or other oracle decks that you may have already seen. And it's interesting because it works, like it works in a more like upper dimensional level. So what I've done is I've taken this deck and set it up intentionally to have, I think, the places and maybe the selves as part of my past life reading. Because you can, like in the sample readings in here, you can take the suits and separate them out from the mixed deck and use those for certain things. And I incorporated that into my bigger past life reading. So you can check that out in the stuff I've got for sale down below or wherever that's available. You can always email me or check out my link tree and so on. I've got a PDF with all my readings for sale anyway, and you can check out the matching playlist. So card number 1 is the Mother. These are all in Roman numerals, and it was starting to aggravate me, so I went and wrote the Arabic numeral for them up top. and the page number that it's on so I can find them quickly if I need to. So we have the mother. You see there's this like Sharpie-like drawing, and then there's watercolor coloring. God damn it, it's not in focus. Nope, too far. Okay, and then there's like photo collage in the middle in black and white and color mixed together. So the other two decks have the black and white and the watercolor, but they don't have the photo collage. That's unique to this deck, which is round. I should also say that the way that these are pressed, they have a slight like lip up on the edge that makes it a little bit hard to shuffle them together at first. These ones are starting to get easier to shuffle, so it just takes a lot of use to break them in so they don't kind of like stick to each other because of the little lip. And because you know, you figure they cut the cards, they cut it face up, so it has that little like lip on the other side. So we have the mother. This is pretty, and the book will describe both light and dark aspects of the mother. So with this one, they're talking about nurturing, but they also talk about constriction, for example. And you could sort of compare that to the Empress. So then we have the father, sort of comparable to the Emperor, and this one talks about both provision, like providing, and also absence, which would explain the negative space here on that side. So we have number 2. So, okay. So number 3, we have the Starborn. This is kind of an interesting concept. And we have an egg cracking open here. So this can be taken, you know, however you feel it coming on. Let me just get to the page so I can give somebody like a keyword that might make more sense. Because like, I'm not supposed to, like, I'm not really teaching you the deck. I'm just giving you a little bit of insight into like what it is exactly. Or sort of like destiny. Yeah, sort of like a feeling of destiny, more or less, is a generic thing. And these can also change depending on what's near them, as with anything, so it's not always the same meaning. So here we have the Eternal Child. There's just some other decks that have a child card too, and sometimes people think, oh, it's your kids, or oh, it's your inner child, but it's sort of like as a basic idea, it could be this sense of like maintaining the mystery and the wonder of the universe and all that stuff. The Eternal Child. Number 4. Number 5, we have the Orphan, which is feeling of abandonment and neglect and whatever that would entail, of needing to be rescued, perhaps. Number 6, the Mentor. So you have somebody wise, information coming in. This looks like a star cluster being born, so it's this idea of generative creativity, protection, information, that kind of stuff. You have the Poet, some Edgar Allan Poe energy up in here. The idea of creative flow, of description, emotiveness, tapping into the deeper subconscious shadow area, that kind of stuff. So you have number 8, the Maiden, a very vaginal scene happening here in the middle. This can be sort of damsel in distress trope, where applicable. It's also that Virgo energy. The can be the inner child, especially if the Empress is nearby. So here we have the Hunter. This is the guy that's out hunting. It's sort of like the hunter who's going to go kill Snow White over here, maybe. It can also be, you know, a providing kind of energy. But you see there's sort of a focal point here. There's some other aspects to this, but, I mean, generally people have an understanding of what somebody is who hunts. So you have the warrior. Battle ready kind of situation. I'm just going to skip to this page because I think there might be something else useful here that we can say for this passing through this card right now. And I'm not afraid to say that I am skipping through the book, because sometimes you really need to. Samurai soldier or advocate. Resilience. And there's also a shadow aspect of, you know, like abandoning your post or something like that. Whether that's literally or mentally. Withstanding assault. Okay, so we have the Queen. So this is sort of like Empress energy, but a little bit lower vibrational. We have this moon situation going on here. Queen can be like an off with your head energy, or it could be a benevolent, nurturing kind of energy. I don't think I've gotten this card using this deck yet. So I've only really seen it when I first read the book and went through it. Yeah, it's basically just that can be either the shrill Beehotch or sort of magnanimous. So here's the king. Same kind of situation there. Can either be the hand that strangles or the hand that feeds, depending. I haven't seen this card very much. I haven't seen this card handling this deck either in regular readings. So here we have the crone. This is equivalent to the high priestess, more or less. The wise woman. The older woman. The decaying woman, that kind of energy. So here we have the judge. This is hitting me a little bit like, I don't know why my brain wanted to say temperance. It's hitting me like Libra, the scales, justice. I'm sure there's some other aspects to that too, but just as a general sense, we can see that there's some discernment happening here. The shapeshifter. There's lizard texture here that appears on the backs of the other decks. So there's a tiger, there's possibly a face here, there's some eyeballs and stuff. It kind of looks like chicken wire too. It's like things that are breaking down and reforming. And obviously the whole shapeshifter thing. So we have the shaman. Oh, I think that's the snake from the box. Kind of. Looks like the same guy. Oh, and here's the back of the color image. That's the back of the deck, that crystal. This guy. So the shaman is someone who is able to travel into the other dimensions, and this kind of looks like someone floating out in space, seeing all the sights and whatnot. It's way more complex than that, but there we have a surface level of the astral realm here. So you have the lover, the swan. In the tarot deck, the cups court cards have swans on them. So that's what this makes me think of. We also have, obviously, like the lover's energy, like Gemini on the card there. Sort of equivalent to the Major Arcana Lover's card, but not necessarily. Got a lump in the throat, perhaps. There's, you see this S curve, and other things that can be read from this card. And again, all of these cards all have dual aspects of dark and light. So here we have the Siren, sort of a femme fatale kind of energy. And because we have a mermaid tail here, we're getting this very watery energy, but also very purple. So it's I mean, this kind of makes it look bloody, but then it's also this sort of third eye energy coming in too. But this is it's sort of like a femme fatale energy, but I mean, certainly read the book and you may find more stuff there, or just interpret it how you see it. Eyeball, the animal, sort of feral energy. I haven't seen this one that much, but definitely a feral energy. You know, animal is sort of instinctual, survival energy. So you have the pilgrim, somebody out on a journey, seeking something, quest, that kind of stuff. We have the mystic. Okay, so there's a couple cards in here that are sort of similar. I mean, shaman and mystic might be kind of doubling down on the same kind of idea. But this mystic card, it says the seeker, the light worker, and the dreamer, remover of darkness, a visionary or ageless, but possibly expecting results or seeking attention and recognition, right? So it's sort of ooh, I just got a high-pitched noise in my right ear. It's you know, it's either somebody who works light or somebody who is like an illusionist, depending on where their energy is sitting. Oh, my hand's starting to hurt. The creator. So this is an artist energy. It looks a little bit more visual than the poet, but it's this idea of descending concepts from the immaterial into the material world. That's what I do with my energy work. And we have the destroyer, the antithesis, the sort of the Durga to the Kali. Right, the destroying aspect. The, I mean, it's sort of like a death cycle, right? Like, when all things must come to an end, the energy of the destroyer is sort of like Gozer, but it's like when something must be transmuted, it must first be destroyed in some way. Or it could just be, you know, the dark side of that would just be like wanton destruction for no reason. So we have the sustainer. This is like once something is built, it's going to maintain that energy. All right, something has been created and now it's in a box and it's being tended. All right, and it's like I'm holding the pattern, more or less. So we have the healer, sort of a straightforward concept. Obviously, there's going to be more in the book about it. What's interesting is that instead of a double snake, there's 3 here. Which sort of, it to me indicates that there's more of a spiritual aspect there. But take that as you will. Okay. So we have the comic. I've seen this card quite a bit. It's either someone who's, you know, acting like a clown to cover up emotional deficit, or it's somebody who uses humor as a way to bring light into a situation. You know, it's like when all is lost, the secret weapon is to crack a smile. You know, it's the exact idea of, hey, lighten up. It's literally this idea of bringing joy, like ridiculousness, into impossible. So that's some of the aspects of the comic. There's more available than that, but that's sort of the gist of it. So here we have the Unseen. This card looking very much like one of those mess with your friends who are colorblind sheets. It definitely seems like it is what it says. Like, what are you missing? What are you overlooking? It says, the spirit, the ancestor, or the eternal, clairvoyant guidance, whispers of wisdom. Or the shadow aspect, where there's something lurking. Okay. And speaking of the shadow, there it is. The dark and the light in their eternal balance, blah, blah, blah. The darkness, the shadow, and all that. So you have the self. This is sort of like the core of your being, more or less. All right. And we have the one, which I have not seen very much. Looks like one of those pictures of like the origins of the universe, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Non-duality. Interesting. So it can either be inclusive or exclusive. Non-duality, that's interesting. I just got that from Highlander, there can be only one. Alright, is this, I think this is, yeah, this is places now. As opposed to people. So we have a heart. This is the physical, the emotional, all that good sauce. We have the cave, where either darkness lurks or wisdom can be found, depending on what you're doing. So we have the mountain. This is interesting because this shows a cave in the mountain where you can sort of be transported, or you have to like travel over the whole friggin' thing. There's some other aspects there, but the mountain is normally a challenge of some sort, and there's other things involved in that, but just sort of a basic deal there. The river. Alright, so we have lots of water and the emotions or flow that would entail. You know, for drowning, traveling long distances, those sorts of things. And then even more water, the ocean. I'm just going to see real quick what they say the difference is between those. Yeah, the river has to do with flow, and then the ocean is unconscious depths. Which is what I say when I'm talking about Neptune energy versus moon energy versus plutonic energy. That the ocean is the unconscious, the depths. And then we have the forest. It's sort of like a border. It's like a scary, wild place. And and I remember this from the book, there's this aspect of achieving growth by being absolutely terrified at least once in your life. And the desert. Sometimes this gives me Hakuna Matata vibes, but this is, you know, thirsty, starving, and that could be, you know, dried up means no water, means no emotions. But there's other stuff that could be meant with this card. Disorientation, surreality, unexpected visions, or silence. Those are some other words that they've got with this. So we have the bridge. I mean, this is sort of, you know, is what it sounds like. There's a connecting point, a gateway, that kind of stuff. You know, burn the bridges. Ooh, I haven't seen this one yet. The temple. That's interesting. I mean, I've seen it at least once, because when I read the book, when I first got these, I went through it, but I haven't seen this one yet. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, people sort of know what a temple is. It's like a focal point for devotion of some kind. It's a repository. It's a shield of some kind. Look at that green energy there. I've seen that one. I've seen this one though, the Dead End. This is like Sleeping Beauty kind of energy here, right? None shall pass. It's a little bit of a reminder not to micromanage the universe. If one direction is closing in, it might be time to shift. Here we have the Village. This is another card about boundaries, right? Like stepping over, like stepping across the boundary. You're no longer in the village. Now you're in a wild place. There's something difficult that looms outside of like a known enclosure. So you have an empty room, which I haven't seen very much. Alright, so this is, it says Vortex, Abyss, and the Nothing. It's potentiality. It also says a dark aspect, addiction, or instability. Useful. So here we have the castle. This is another boundary as well. Things that are inside the castle tend to be protected. Like a fortress. Yeah. It also brings in this fairy tale aspect of things that can go on in a castle, but it's generally a boundary, for better or for worse. And here's the box, another card about boundaries. I've seen this one a fair often amount of times, and it's this idea of, you know, getting outside the box and then being boxed in again. That's the short version. Here it is, the threshold. This is like once you leave the village, where are you going? It's about actually moving somewhere, stepping across something, changing where your feet are, that kind of stuff. Here we have the womb, sacral energy here, the pinpoint of growth, the birthplace, the expansion, and so on. We have the storm. We have chaos here, but there's also, I mean, this lightning perhaps is forming a boundary here. But yeah, I just had a general sense of chaos. And the underworld, where all the dead things are. There's a lot that can happen there. It can be a spiritual place as well. We have the fault line. This separation. Let's see what this one says. A weak link breaking open. The bardo. Okay, so that's a word that I haven't been familiar with before getting this deck. So it says the liminal, the in-between, and the transition. Okay, so it's a liminal realm. It's like the gateway itself. It's like the portal itself. It's sort of a purgatorial place. It's the waiting room. It's the lobby, that kind of stuff. So we have the tear. This is about releasing of emotion and other things as well. Dips back into those water energies. We have the flame, which is good for focusing and gazing and all that stuff. This is part of the tool section now. And the tier is as well. Was that out of order? No. Why did I see that out of order? Mental clarity or anger or darkness. So we have the riddle. This card I've gotten recently. I've seen it a few times. It's sort of the toss-up between figuring something out and learning that you don't need to know everything right now all the time. We have the vow, which is kind of what it sounds like. There's an aspect of karma here. It's, you know, the promising contracts and things like that. So karma, for good or for bad, could be involved in that. So we have the vision, which is the vision here is of the mountain card, which is interesting. This is sort of about creating and holding a vision and sort of going towards that path, and some other things as well. We have the gem, sort of, this is like a diamond in the rough kind of energy. Uniqueness, or perhaps greed in the dark sense there. So we have the ring, which I don't think I've had that come up in readings that I've done yet with this deck. It says the infinite, the wheel, or the connection. So it has to do with cycles. Okay, so it's sort of roughly equivalent to the wheel. We can see that there's sort of a manifold happening here. Mobius strip, but multiple layers. So we have the nectar. Here we have a division also. So we have dark and light aspects of this. It's sort of medicine, but it could also be some sort of toxicity. So here we have a medallion, amulets, tradition, and stuff like that. We have a kiss. So this is talking about touching and sensuality, or darker aspects of that, like dominance and pressure and things like that. So we have a mask. This is fairly straightforward. And we see it very clearly. There's dark and light aspects of that. It's a persona to either reveal or conceal. We have a sword, which I don't think I've seen in a reading yet either. This is similar to a card in the Mystical Shaman Oracle called the Blade, right? It can either kill someone or it can be used surgically to excise something. Standing in for any kind of blade or knife or weapon here. Right, getting to the point, or just, you know, making a mess. So we have venom. Snappy, bitey, poison, those kinds of things. Moon energy here. So we have the offering. This is sort of an olive branch kind of thing. I don't think I've gotten this card yet. We have the prayer. I know I haven't seen this one in a reading yet. Again, because like I said, I haven't used this deck that much since I've gotten it. Let me just look at this one real quick. Offering to be of service, asking for guidance, worship, reverence, homage. Okay, that makes sense. So we have the seed. So we have a little pearl seed here with waves coming out. It's this, the beginning of growth here. I think this one's fairly straightforward. We have the stone. I think I've seen this one a couple times. Notice this geometric pattern here. like a building block. Okay. So there's a permanence here, and what could be related to that, like things that are to hold things down or to hold things back or to be steady, those kinds of ideas. We have the mirror. Here is this disco shard. Same kind of mirror things that you would expect. Reflection, narcissism, sharpness, illusion, those kinds of things. We have the vessel. It's getting some sacral energy down here. So it's referencing that the body itself is a vessel, and is also a card of boundaries. All right, what's in the vessel, what's pouring out of the vessel. Are you trapped in the vessel like a genie in a bottle, and so on. Oh, my hand's asleep. So we have the thread. Okay, this has multiple meanings. We can have, it's saying circuit, like an electrical circuit, path or vein. Things that could be tied or bound, tangled. This, it could be an idea itself, like, oh, I've got this thread. Okay, so then it's coming into this last section that's initiations. That's what these spiritual type cards are. So Eros here is talking about sexuality, desire, and eroticism. That's what Eros is. It's a certain type of love. Where's the... Oh, okay, this is the way that this goes. So there's a reason that the mouth on this is sideways. It's supposed to look like what it kind of looks like. So we have sexual love here. All right, so this agape one, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing right. This one is unconditional love. Okay. And okay, so Thanatos. This one is death, and things related to death. Apocalypsis. It says, removing the veil of deception. And I think I've gotten this card before. It looks like, it kind of reminds me of the pattern of the dining room on the Clue game that I've got. Like a, is it tatted? Maybe it's tatted. Crocheted lace tablecloth kind of thing. This one, okay. So Gnosis. This is like mystical truth, inner knowing. That's what it says on there. Like a deep, spontaneous knowledge, meditation kind of stuff. And then we have Kairos, which it says mythic time or synchronicity, which is as opposed to Chronos. So it's related. And then Aletheia, which I tried to find out how to pronounce that, and that's the closest I got, is truth. So there's, and what that would entail, clarity or distortion or whatnot. And then we have, the last card is Anima Mundy. which is, I'm not that familiar what the animus and the anima are supposed to be. Like, I've read it a couple of times, but here in this book it says, soul of the world or all that is. Can either be tending to the sacred details of life or overwhelmed by the bigness of existence. The energy behind the world card in the tarot deck. Universal unity, completeness, and so on. So there's this idea of it's sort of giving me like the consciousness of the universe, more or less. So that's a lot. I don't need to go into huge detail. It's just basically flipping through the cards and saying a little bit about them. So if you want to have me use these cards, you can request them if you get a reading, or you can go ahead and get that past life reading, and I'll have a couple of these just stuffed right in the reading already. I'm going to move the camera. If you want to get a personal reading, you can check out that list in the description box down below. And I have it with little pictures on my WordPress, and you can download the PDF of that from the WordPress, or you can email me, thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com. I have PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo. If you found this helpful or useful or interesting in some way, consider energy exchange, tip jar, or donation. I've got, if I get my Sharpies out of my way. Those are, I've got the Sharpies out because they're for my angel deck that I'm working on. So I've got coloring books and dark poetry, merch, and prints and actual art items available. If you get 3 or more items in my Etsy shop and use coupon code 3star17, you'll get 17% off. I've got card of the day posting every day on social media, on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, including the Readings for Sale playlist, and stay groovy, and we'll see you later. Bye.